Could it be? For me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Training Camp Confidential. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. You know what it is. Post up, take command. Off day for the Commanders, and we're roughly 1 week through training camp. And as I like to tell you, the Commanders may have an off day, but there are no off days here on the Louie T Network once training camp gets started. So, back at it. Today, talking about the guys that have stood out during the first week of practice and some situations and some things that may not look as sharp in after 1 week of training camp practice. Now, I'm not selling any of my stock right now, just so we're clear. All right. Now, I'm buying a ton of stock. I'm not selling any. However, stock up, stock down is what we're going to talk about today. And I'm a really positive guy. You guys, you know that, right? I'm a glass half full guy. So I don't want to say too many things negative right now because it's so early. So early, right? We've barely gotten into pads. We've had one padded practice. So there's no reason to overreact and take and run with a guy that's doing exceptionally well right now. And conversely, there's no need to panic if there's a group or a player or a situation not going well right now. But still needs to be discussed either way. So before we get to stock up and stock down, I want to mention some honorable mentions. Guys that I thought should have been or easily could have been on the stock up list, just missed it. I want to start with Jordan McGee and Dom Hampton, two of the linebackers that are young, second-year guys that we think can have an impact on this defense. Dom Hampton, not as much as Jordan McGee. We expected McGee last year to have an impact. This year, healthy, and if he can remain that way, I think he's going to be a massive part of what the Commanders look to do on the defensive side of football. Meanwhile, Dom Hampton is a guy that made the transition from college safety to NFL linebacker last year, pretty much redshirted for the most part. This year, going to get an opportunity to show what he can do on special teams specifically, but also there may be a role for him on defense if called upon. Want to see what he looks like in the preseason. Both have started camp very well. Want to see that transition into the joint practices and ultimately into the preseason games. So that's one group of guys that I wanted to mention. Another honorable mention, Sam Cosmi's progress. We had heard all offseason that he was hitting every marker, that they weren't going to miss a step. Sam has been doing phenomenal after surgery and his rehab, but we're actually seeing Sam out on the field doing drills, again, off to the side, individual work. But to see him actually moving around the way that he's moving around, to hear people talk that this guy looks good, and then to hear head coach Dan Quinn say, hey, I'm not ruling out week one. I'm not saying that he's going to be ready, but I'm not ruling it out. Makes you feel really good about where Sam Cosmi is right now. As a matter of fact, I've taken it a step further and guaranteed that he won't start the season on the PUP list. Now, I'm still all in for week one with Sam Cosmi. However, I don't think he's going to start on the PUP list. He may not start week one, may not start week two, but I think by week three, Sam Cosmi will be in the starting lineup for the Washington Commanders. So I am very excited about where he is right now. That's stock up for me as well, but it's an honorable mention. Now let's get to the actual stock up candidates here. And we start with Ben Sinnott, a guy that a lot of people want to see something from as a former second-round pick in last year's draft, and a second-round group that, you know, featured 3 second-rounders in Adam Peters' inaugural draft here as the GM of the Commanders organization. He was the one guy that really didn't produce at a high level, played just like we saw with Johnny Newton, played a ton, but didn't produce at a high level, not high enough for the status of second round pick. A lot of people were concerned. I was not, but I get it. He's come out firing on all cylinders, looks to be in tremendous shape, but not only in tremendous shape, he looks to be more engaged in what's going on. Obviously, when you're a rookie, you're trying to figure things out. They're throwing a lot at you. It's hard to just go out and play the game that you know how to play because you're thinking so much. This is a guy that just gets it now. And it's showing. There's a connection with he and Jaden. I think they're going to go out of their way to put him on the field more this year. They've started out this first week in more 12 and 13 personnel looks than any other, package to this point. So a lot more usage of the tight ends. Ertz has had a day off. Bennett was able to take advantage of that, or Ben Sinnott, excuse me, was able to take advantage of that day off by Zach Ertz. Played really well. Had a nice catch up the seam that day. Sinnott is a guy that looks like he's ready to take a massive leap forward. Again, opportunities are going to be the key for him, but he looks like he's ready to take a massive leap forward in year number 2. Again, it's early, but Ben Sinnott is a guy that has his stock soaring right now. Probably the guy that has the most fanfare and the most buzz, surrounding him right now is 7th round pick running back Ja'Cory Crosky-Merritt, aka Bill. This guy has been tremendous to start camp. He's one of the guys that is given a very flaccid run game a little bit of a life. And so he's a guy that even head coach Dan Quinn has mentioned, with one of the plays of camp thus far, with the padded practices, him having a couple of jump cuts, darting through the hole, and then meeting Tyler Owens on the other side of that hole, getting hit, taking on wallop, but keeping his balance, showing that contact balance, and, finishing out the run. He's gotten reps, with the first team offense yesterday, as a matter of fact, and day 6 of training camp was featured in first team reps with Jaden Daniels and that first team offense. So you see the way that they view him. They like the speed. He's also showing the ability to catch the football. His pass protection has gotten better, something that his running backs coach, Anthony Lynn, has stressed. If you want to play, you got to protect the quarterback. He knows that. And this is a guy that is starting to, I think, gain a bit of traction. We thought this would happen. And we said if he's able to have a strong camp coupled with an even stronger preseason, it's going to be tough to keep him off the field. Well, he's off to a great start. We got a long way to go. 2 joint practices, 3 preseason games, and the rest of camp. Still a long way to go. But if I were a betting man, if I were buying stock, buy Bill stock now before the price soars. It's only going to go up from here. Deebo Samuel, stock up. What we expected from him, we're getting. And we're getting this despite not having Terry McLaurin for all of training camp. We did not ask this man to come here and be a number 1, but he has had to be that essentially in these training camp practices. And he has done his best to hold up that end of the bargain. The thing that I love is that despite a very disappointing wide receiver room to this point, he's been the one bright spot. You could argue Jalen Lane has also been pretty solid, but the guy that we expected to be good is showing up and being good every day, and that's Deebo Samuel. That's refreshing. And so I already felt like this. I think a lot of you felt like this, that in a contract year, Deebo Samuel was going to come in here motivated and ball this year. Now, again, it's early. He's in tremendous shape. We saw the videos. We've heard coaching staff members. We heard Adam Peters talk about the shape that he's in. We heard Deebo himself talk about having to get into shape, knowing the type of offense that we run. A lot of up-tempo. Well, looks to be paying off dividends. Him and Jaden seem to be getting on the same page. So far, so good. Stock up for Deebo Samuel. Quan Martin is a guy that a lot of people have high hopes for. I was just on the show with Big Doug, and he said he's a massive Quan Martin fan, thinks that he can be, one of the better safeties in the league. And look, when he was drafted 3 years ago, this is going to be year 3 for Quan Martin. We were all excited and thought we got away with one in the second round. Now, again, I would have preferred Brian Branch. I'm not going to sit here and hold you. However, when we got Quan Martin, I felt really good because I looked at his skill set. I looked at the the athleticism, and I looked at the ability to take it away, and I said, you put these things together, he could be exactly what this team needs at the safety position. We've seen flashes of the takeaways. We've seen flashes of the athletic profile. We haven't seen them consistently come together. We've seen him as a consistent tackler, but we haven't seen him put everything together for a full season and play with the level of confidence that we saw his last year at Illinois. Some of that could be that he continues to have to shift defensive coordinators and defensive playbooks and schemes every year of his career. Well, this is the first year where he doesn't have to do that. This is a group that believes in him. And right now, he's coming out and playing excellent football alongside Will Harris, and Tyler Owens, and all of the revolving door guys that they have at the safety position next to him. He's played really well. He's communicating. They're blitzing him. They're using him in different spots. This could be the breakout year for Quan Martin. Off to a tremendous start. Stock up for a guy that a lot of people think has a chance to be a really good piece on this Commanders football team. Not just the defense, but one of those core pieces moving forward. Very young player, high upside. He could be one of those foundational pieces. Got to show it. This is the year it feels like he needs to. He's off to a great start. Stock up for Quan Martin. Now I want to get to two positional groups who have been phenomenal to start camp. Let's start with one that we had question marks going into camp about. Now, we didn't question, could they stop the run? We felt like they were going to be able to do that with ease, with the way that this thing was set up. The question was, could they affect the passer? The defensive line is stock up right now. The addition of Von Miller kind of put a lot of us at ease, at least for now. Again, we still have to see the product on the field. We didn't know what Jacob Martin would be. He's been phenomenal in camp to start, right? Looking spry and explosive. I've always said the talent is there with Jacob Martin. The question has never been talent. The question is production. Why can't this guy who has all this talent, the ability to bend, has juice off the edge, couple of moves to go, right, in the move Rolodex, has a few of those. He's not just a one-trick pony. Why can't this guy achieve 8.5, 9, 10, 12 sacks in a season? Why hasn't that happened? Why is his career high 4.5 sacks, 3.5 sacks, whatever that number is? Why has he never had 5 sacks in a single season? Don't know, but he looks good. Von Miller out there running around. He looks good. The defensive line, who we thought, hey, a lot of guys that are going to be able to stop the run, don't know if these guys are going to be able to put pressure on the quarterback. Javon Kinlaw looks good. Dorrance Armstrong looks really good. They're moving him around. And I said, if they continue to use him inside, he's going to be a problem. Well, they're doing that. He's been a problem. He looks good. Deron Payne playing well. He looks good. Dietrich Wise doing what we brought Dietrich Wise here to do, stop the run. He's blowing up screens. He's at tackles for loss. He looks good. This group as a whole looks good. Eddie Goldman playing square. Stop me if you've heard that before. This group has been more than we bargained for. Again, pads have only been on one day. Don't get carried away. But in that one day, they were dominant. No run game for this offense. Shut it down. Now, there was no Laramie Tunsil that day. So you had Andrew Wiley at left tackle, which we never want to see. And you had a rookie at right tackle. So, and again, no Sam Cosmi at right guard. So again, take it with a grain of salt. But again, if they put an inferior opponent in front of you, whoop their ass. That's all I ever ask, right? All I ever ask of anyone, if you claim you're like that and they put someone that isn't in front of you, you know what to do. That's what they did. Tackles for loss, Bobby Wagner running around, having a field day because the D-line is holding up blockers and allowing the linebackers to roam and make plays. Forcing Jaden Daniels into pressure looks and making him turn the ball over. Same for Sam Hartman. The D-line has looked good. Even the reserve guys have looked good to the start. Javonte John Baptiste has looked good. This group may be better than what we thought. Again, it's early. Don't want to overblow this situation. Don't want to go too far. I wouldn't advise you to buy too much stock. Don't go crazy. But I'd tell you to buy some right now while it's still affordable. Could get out of control. They start the season fast. Stock up defensive line. Really good start to camp. And the biggest stock up right now, the cornerback room. What a start to camp for this group. You could argue the two guys playing the best in camp of all players in camp are both corners, in Mike Sainristil and rookie Trey Amos. Not to mention, Marshon Lattimore's playing well. Noah Igbenogany is making plays every single day. Jonathan Jones has been solid. Carlin Vigors has been making plays almost every single day. This is a group right now that is playing with an abundance of confidence. They're locking down these receivers, starters, non-starters. They're making every throw tough. There aren't, a bunch of guys running wide open. You heard of one or two instances of that early, day one of camp. Chris Moore wide open for a touchdown. Blown coverage assignment, lack of communication. They cleaned that up. The communication has been absolutely sparkling since. They've created turnovers because of great communication. They're blitzing. They're staying tight to receivers. There are referees out there. These aren't pass interference calls. They're breaking up passes. They're making the catches that are being made extremely tough. The best offensive play of camp was a shred job, a absolute dime. Had to be in the spot that it was because you had two corners in Mike Sainristil, or two defensive backs in Mike Sainristil and Quan Martin converging on the football, and the ball just was over their hand. You cannot defend a perfect pass, and it was caught by Jalen Lane. But they were there. They made it the toughest play, and it was still completed. Everything has been tough for these receivers. Nothing has come easy. They've dominated these receivers to start camp. And if this is any indication of what they're going to be this year, this defense has a chance to be special. And I've already told you what I thought about them before they even set foot on the field in training camp. I told you I thought they were the best the cornerback room in the NFC East. I told you I thought it was the best cornerback room in the conference and the fourth best cornerback room in the NFL. I didn't stutter when I said it then. I'm doubling down on it now, and they're making me feel good about my declaration. They've been phenomenal to start. Again, it's early, but I'm buying as much of this stock. You already knew that. I was pressing a button on this stock when I told you they were number one, and number 4. So, of course, I'm buying up all the cornerback room stock that I can get my hands on right now. We've got the perfect blend of young guys in Mikey and Trey and veterans in Noah Igbenogany, who's still kind of like that bridge of young and old, right? And then you got two wily veterans in Jonathan Jones and Marshon Lattimore. It's the perfect blend. It's how you win at the cornerback position. You don't want a whole bunch of youngins back there. You want just enough that you feel good about your future, just enough that you know you're going to have guys that's going to help you win now. And then there's a bridge there with Noah Igbenogany. And then you got some young guys on the back end, competing and continuing to get better. And you're hoping that maybe they have something to say about it down the road. And Carlin Vigors. It's a group right now that I'm excited about, and the stock is definitely up through 1 week of training camp practices for the cornerback room. Now we get to stock down. And again, don't overblow these situations. I'm not looking to knock these guys too bad here. It's early, and, there are a lot of circumstances surrounding these things, but I got to call a spade a spade. I got to keep it a buck with you. So first stock down is the most obvious one, the Terry situation. This sucks. There's no winners in this. The fans don't win. Now you got fans slinging mud at one another, talking about what Terry isn't worth, what he is worth. this, that, and the third. Trade him. He's ungrateful. He's greedy. You got all the shit that you just didn't want, which is why I wanted this done sometime in July, right? So the team feels one way, Terry feels one way. It's an ugly situation. Nobody wins. You're not getting the best out of the practices because Terry's not out there. You're not getting the from either side, right? You're not getting the best out of your offense. You're not getting the best work for your defense. Nobody wins in this situation. That's stock down because we don't feel any closer to getting anything done. Today, as we sit here on July 30th, than we did when we thought, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. This will get done. When Terry was at OTAs back in, May, when he finally left at the very end of OTA phase 2. We don't feel any closer when he first left to him coming back into the building, but having a ankle injury and being placed on the PUP list. Feel no closer. That's a shame. Really want to see that situation get resolved sooner rather than later. Stock down. The wide receiver room, minus Deebo Samuel. I could easily say Jalen Lane as well could be a guy that I could omit from this conversation, but he hasn't been great either. And he's young. I hate to put that on a rookie. I always tell you it's tough for a rookie to come in here and do damage at the receiver position. It's a lot tougher of a transition. The guys that are like that come in and they're able to do that. But even the ones that are really good, they may not have a great rookie season and then they take off, right? You figure it out. Ultimately, this has been a very underwhelming group. And, early on, I was excited. I'm like, hey, I hate that Terry's not there, but this is an opportunity for young guys, veterans alike, to take advantage of getting more reps, more first-team reps that you wouldn't have been getting had Terry been there, more opportunities with Noah Brown being out that wouldn't have been there. Let's see some guys step up. Let's see some guys show out. Let's see some guys separate themselves from the pack. Hey, year 2 Luke McCaffrey, let's see it. Hey, haven't played football in over a year, Michael Gallup, let's see it. Hey, Chris Moore, they keep talking about more. I want less of Chris Moore playing with the ones. People keep talking about Ja'Cory Brooks. He's not ready. The lack of separation from this group. Look, we know there are going to be certain guys that don't create separation. But we have a receiver group full of guys that don't create separation. Terry's one of them. Doesn't create a ton of separation, as a route runner. But guess what Terry does better than most guys in the league? Catches contested footballs. So it's okay if you don't create separation as long as you still come down with the football. If the quarterback gives you a shot, you go put your hands on it, you bring it in. Terry can do that. A lot of these guys in camp, however, don't catch those contested footballs. A lot of drops, a lot of DBs able to get their hands through the wickets and knock the ball free even though the receiver had their hands on the football. A lot of opportunities missed, deep balls dropped by guys down the field. Chris Moore, one of those culprits multiple times. It hasn't been great for this receiver group. I keep hearing KJ Osborne. I still haven't heard KJ Osborne make an impactful play yet. A lot of these guys are running with the 2s and the 3s. When they get their opportunities with the 1s, it's still not great. And again, this is what I expect with Noah Brown being in and out, Terry not being there at all. And you're essentially asking, again, that's your first and third option. Deebo's being asked to be a 1 right now. 1 and 3 aren't there. So you immediately go to your 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th options and say, hey, you guys play good football. And they're like, we ain't got it, boss. I hear what you're saying. Opportunities, take advantage, all that. We ain't got it, boss. You asking us to go and play against the best corners on the team and excel. And we ain't got it. Sorry. I'm asking Michael Gallup to consistently kick Carlin Vigors' ass, and he's like, I ain't got it. I ain't got it, boss. Sorry. Got to shake the cobwebs. Vigors gets him, he gets Vigors. That's the way it's supposed to go if both of you are of the same level, of equal value. It shouldn't be. You should be kicking a rookie's ass, an undrafted rookie's ass, every time you see him. It should be on sight. Yeah, he might get you here and there, but it should really be one-sided. It hasn't been. I haven't heard of Michael Gallup catching any passes from Jaden Daniels, to be honest with you. I can't tell you that he hasn't been running with the ones at all, but they're giving everybody turns with the ones, and I haven't heard his name with the ones at all. Neither KJ Osborne. We've heard more Ja'Cory Brooks and Chris Moore running with the ones, which is very uncomfortable for me, by the way. Jalen Lane getting out there with the ones, which I want to see more of. If you're going to tell me that we're going to get some young guys in there, let me see Jalen Lane. I know he's making this team. Let's see what he's got. He's made some plays. But this has been an underwhelming group without Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown being in and out of the lineup. Really disappointed to this point. And again, this could change. It's early. I'm not tripping. But it has been disappointing, to say the least. It's a group that still needs a lot of work. But you get Terry in there, Debo goes to number 2, Noah Brown's healthy at 3, and all of a sudden, this shit looks a lot different. Now Jalen Lane slides in there, and he's making plays as your 4th option / Luke McCaffrey. And all of a sudden, this puppy's cooking. And this shit looks a lot different, and we feel a lot better. But right now, there is no Terry. And Noah Brown is in and out of the lineup. And this shit does look a little sloppy and disjointed. And guys aren't creating separation. And it looks like the varsity versus the JV. Here's to hoping that this thing improves. Get the Terry deal done so he can get in here so we can start to right the ship with the receiver room. Because right now, underwhelming is the word I would use. Stock down. And then last but not least, the offensive line. Again, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not here to shit on the offensive line. Much like the receiver room, there's been a lot of movement. Laramie Tunsil seems to be off every other day, and I'm not mad at that because I care about LT being in the lineup when shit matters. I don't care about LT being in the lineup on July the 28th, right? I don't care about him being in the lineup on, July 28th when the pads go on for the first time, which he was not. I don't care about him being in the lineup on July 26th with helmets and shells on, which he was not. That doesn't bother me. I just want him available when the games start mattering and they start keeping a tally in the left and right-hand columns. That's when I want him out there. That said, with him being out of the lineup, in and out of the lineup, for vet rest reasons, just to keep him preserved, with Andrew Wiley having to go to left tackle, which I really never, ever want to see. Getting the rookie, Josh Connerly Jr. out there at right tackle, which has been up and down. Nick Allegretti at right guard, which I'm totally fine with until Sam Cosmi comes back. But there's been a lot of changes to that front, it seems like. And don't forget Brandon Coleman getting his first opportunity in the league to play left guard. A lot of changes up front, and it hasn't been good to start. At some point, they're going to tell Laramie Tunsil, all right, bro, we need you in there all the time. We need to see what this line is going to look like so we can start building that continuity. We'll get there. We're not there yet. They don't need to be there yet. But at some point, we got to get there. Because not only has there been pressure on Jaden through the first week of camp, and again, credit to that defensive line. They've done it with pressures. They've done it with 4. Not only has there been pressure on Jaden and pressure on Marcus Mariota and pressure on Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson. Not only has there been pressure, they can't run the football yet. They've struggled to run the football. Again, The only day that there were pads, they got in a lot of short yardage. This defense dominated the offensive line. They're struggling to run the football. And again, a lot of changes up front. There's no continuity, no fluidity to this group right now. I understand all of that. We talked about the depth of this offensive line. It's being tested a bit now, and it's taking a blow with the retirement of Nate Herbig. So you went from all of this confidence in this offensive line, like we got depth this year. The depth is being tested early, and not like in a serious major way. You're just seeing what life could look like with 1 or 2 injuries, right? You could easily be in a situation where Andrew Wiley is at left tackle. Who wants to live in a world where Andrew Wiley is your starting left tackle? Who wants to live in that world? Not me. Not me. I can't speak for you. Not me. Josh Connolly Jr. has not been consistent yet. And ultimately, he may not be ready to start week 1. Again, we assume that he's going to pick it up. He's going to get better as the weeks, as he stacks practices on top of each other. He's going to get better and better and better. But the early returns on him right now have been underwhelming. He's getting run by, which we thought the one thing he was going to be able to do athletically was move. Well, he seems to be struggling in that department right now. We know that the core strength was something he was going to have to improve. So if I hear, oh yeah, he got bull rush, which I've heard, I can understand that. Dietrich Wise takes his hand and puts it in his chest and moves him backwards. I get that. But I shouldn't hear that guys like Javonte John Baptiste and Jacob Martin are running circles around this guy, which I've heard as well. This offensive line has been underwhelming to start. And I'm not as concerned about it from a pass protecting standpoint, because this group's going to be a better pass protecting group than the one we put on the field last year. Can we run the football, though? Because here's the thing. We don't have running backs. Not the ones that they're going to start the season off. We don't have running backs that can create on their own. We need space for these guys. Once they get the space, I think they can be dangerous down the field. But Eck and B-Rob aren't making anybody miss in the backfield. They need a runway. You give them one, they can be dangerous down the field. They can make guys miss. They can get yards after contact, but they got to get going downhill first. The only guy that we have is Bill that probably can make somebody miss in the backfield and make something happen and turn something, make something out of nothing. This O-line has to get its act together, especially run blocking. It's early. We've only had 1 padded practice. Don't panic. But after 1 week, offensive line, stock down. So that's stock up, stock down for me, your man Louie T. Some of you have been out to practice. I would love for you to tell me what you saw down in the comment section of this video. Did I leave something out? Did you see some guys? Have you been hearing about some guys that you think should be on the stock up list, should be at least an honorable mention? Are you disappointed? I know a lot of you said Johnny Newton was on your stock down list. A lot of people, I haven't heard anything about Johnny. Just because you haven't heard anything doesn't mean Johnny Newton isn't playing solid football. He hasn't been a standout, but that entire defensive line, and that includes Johnny Newton, have been really good to start. And unlike positions like wide receiver where guys are out, or offensive line where guys are out that are giving other guys opportunities to shine and they're not taking advantage, everybody's playing on the D-line. There aren't too many vet rest days being given up on the defensive line unless it's Von Miller. So it's not like Johnny's getting an opportunity, because guess what? Newsflash, Johnny Newton's not starting. Just in case you weren't aware of this. And Johnny Newton's not starting in front of Deron Payne or Javon Kinlaw. He'll be coming off the bench like he did last year. Or was supposed to until Jonathan Allen got hurt. He'll be coming off the bench. So I think it's fair to say that Johnny Newton's solid right now. Can't wait to see what he looks like in year 2. But did I forget anybody? Did I omit anyone? How do you feel about the list? Leave it down in the comment section. Can't wait to hear your responses. Before we get out of here, I got to push our live event with the Commanders Kings. August 24th, the day after the final preseason game versus the Baltimore Ravens. Rio Robinson, Street Scores, ATL, our guy, Rico, Ed Oliver, the real Ed Oliver, and yours truly, your man Louie T, will all be live in attendance as the Commanders Kings will ride again, live and in color for the very first time on August 24th at Crystal City Sports Pub in Arlington, Virginia. Doors open at 5. We get the show started just before 6, and we're going to party. We're going to party like it's 1991, the last time we won a Super Bowl here in the nation's capital. We're going to predict the season. We're going to predict the 53-man roster. We're going to have a toast to the season, among other things. We're going to have a blast, and we want you to be there in attendance. Nothing like the first time. And this is going to be the first time the Kings have ever been at a live event together. So you don't want to miss it. Get your tickets. The link will be pinned in the comment section of this video. It's also in the description of every video from now until this event takes place. Only 150 tickets available to start. We're already under 100 tickets left. Getting close to less than 90 tickets available. So these tickets are moving fast. Don't keep waiting and say, yeah, okay, I'm going to get mine next week. Again, I can't count your coin. Maybe you don't have it until next week. But if you got it and you're on the fence, you really want to go, I advise you to pull the trigger before you miss out. This is one of those events you don't want to miss. You enjoy the live streams. When you're in the comfort of your own home, you're going to have even more fun there live and in person. So, with that said, that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Stock Up, Stock Down, Training Camp Confidential. Commanders are off today, but your man Louie T is not. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section. Can't wait to read them. Get your tickets to the Commander Kings live August 24th at Crystal City Sports Pub. Shout out to my guy Twan over at the Hilltop RVA for helping put this thing together and putting the ball in motion. We hope to see you there. Until then, I'm your man Louie T signing off. You know what it is. Peace. LouieTeeNetwork.